take these out. So pigment powders too, they come in a bunch of different, it's some pressed, some really loose. So they can even come in a gel form. So there's a lot of different products out there. I like a loose pigment or a pressed pigment. The pressed pigments are nice because they are a lot less messy. Sometimes the loose pigments, they just get everywhere. They stain up around the cuticle area really easily. Oh, we're getting there. Today we're going to be working with the pressed palette. Tammy, if you want me to go over the stacker, the neon stacker, I think that's the one you have, I can do that too and show you guys kind of the difference between the two. Your pressed pigments are going to be lighter. There's other things in there that make them allowed to be pressed, so they'll be a little bit lighter than your actual pigment powders, which are super, super vibrant. So it just totally depends on the look and the color that you're looking for. If I'm trying to do ombres, I'm using pressed because they're going to blend so much better because they are a little bit lighter. The actual loose pigments, because they're so vibrant, it's like as soon as it hits that tacky layer, it grabs that color and you're going to see lines. So if I'm doing something where it doesn't need to be ombre, I'm grabbing the loose. And if it's something that does need to blend and ombre well, I'm going to grab for the pressed. So really that's the biggest difference. Okay. And again, this is just a one coat white gel polish. And we're gonna let this cure. So for example, if you wanted to just do a quick, easy ombre of your pigment palette or your pressed pigments, one thing is the brush that I'm using. Sorry guys, I feel a little scattered right now. My brain is still working on chrome. We've moved on. So we're gonna go in, let me move this here. So this is, like I said, pressed pigments. We're gonna go in really heavy, pick up a lot. Where am I here? Here we are. We're gonna pick up a lot. So this brush that I'm using right now is called a smudge brush. I like it for the pigments because it's got the flat head and it grabs a lot of the pigments. You need something that's flatter. If you're using something that has a point to it, it's not going to blend. There's not enough surface contact. When I go to put this on the nail, you want a lot of contact between the brush and the nail plate. So if you're working with a pointy brush or like a gel brush that just doesn't have a lot of point of contact, you're making your job a lot harder. Yeah, I definitely over-cured this. But see, I did it on purpose so you could see what happens, right? So I kind of over-cured my gel polish color. There's not a good tacky layer. It's giving me a little bit of color, but not what I want, right? So what I'm gonna do is wipe this off with a little bit of alcohol. And I will show you the difference that it makes if you just slightly under-cure. See, I did that on purpose so you guys could see what happens, right? So again, yes, your brushes are going to make a difference. The applicator that you're using is going to make a big difference. I see a lot of like makeup sponges and stuff like that being used. The problem is they're not going to pick up enough pigment, and you've got like this huge area where you're placing it over the nail. You're losing where you want to put it. So if you're trying to do a nice clean ombre, you can't really see what you're doing, but with a brush you'll have much more control over how much pigment you're using and what kind of surface you're covering. So now we'll go back in. We're a little bit tackier, and look at how much better for coverage we're getting. So if I was just doing a nice, if my client said, I just want a really nice light pink ombre, this is exactly how I'm doing it. So when you're doing an ombre, everything about the nail should be kind of elongated. I mean, we're enhancing, right? This is what we do. We enhance what we're working on. So even though it's not a smile line, I have kind of trained myself, even doing my ombres, to pull them up on the sides. That's gonna make the nail look longer, thinner, and prettier, rather than going straight across. Anything straight across on your nails, it's like lines on your clothing. Anything straight across is cutting it off and it's making it look wider. So anytime you have the opportunity to make something look longer, especially with the nails, pull up the sides a little bit and it will give it a cleaner, more enhanced look rather than going straight across. So we could leave this just as is, throw a top coat over it, and we have a perfect either base for some crystals or some hand painting, or it's good to go. You can put chrome on top of it. There's so many layers you could do on top. If we wanted to grab another color, maybe add a little bit of orange in there. And again, I just want you guys to see, when they're pressed, you really got to get in there and loosen up some of that pigment and get it on your brush. They are going to be lighter, so you really need to make sure that you're getting enough product on there. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of yellow up here. I'm sorry, orange. It's definitely not yellow. And kind of blend from here. We're going to dust this away. And again, it's just giving you a very, very slight ombre. Nice and easy. Again, you could top coat this. I'm going to leave this as is because we're going to use this for some layering later on when we do our layered designs. But quick, easy ombre. I mean, I feel like ombre is one of the things everybody's asking for, an ombre. There's so many different ways that you could do it. My goal is to do it the fastest and the most consistent. Every time. I'm going to be grabbing pigment powders, or I'm going to show you guys later how to do it with gel paint. Gel polish is too fluid, and if you're using gel polish, it's going to be very hard to get that perfect line. So you're working really, really hard at it. It's just too fluid. It's too liquidy. So if you're wanting to do it in gel, we're going to do it in gel paint later. But really, your pigment powders, the more texture you can add for an ombre, the better the colors are going to blend together. If there's no texture, it makes it very, very difficult. So why make things harder on yourself, right? I want easy, I want to get my client in and out, and I want it to look nice and consistent. And you're not having to cure layers. So with your ombre powder or your pigment powders, it's just so much easier. So we'll take that. Now we've got just our regular white, and you can really see the difference. To clean out my brush, basically all I'm doing is just a little swipey on my table towel until I see no color, and then I know my brush is clean. I try not to use any solvents or anything in this. If I have to, if like I was using maybe like black pigment powder and I just couldn't get it out, I would use maybe alcohol and make sure to dry it completely before I reused it. But just to show you guys the difference in color, see how much more vibrant this is over white. And again, it's all the angle of the brush. Like I'm like this, so I'm getting a lot of contact. And as it gets up to the area where I'm gonna blend, it kind of already starts that nice little ombre for me. Pressure down here because this is where I want the most color to be. And up here I kind of want it to feather off. Now we'll go in with a little bit of orange. And again, same angle on my brush. And then we can just keep going. We can go into yellow. You can just do the whole rainbow if you want. But they blend really, really well. almost feel like this white did not fully cure, because again, I'm not paying attention to how long it was in there. So it was probably a little under cured, but that's okay. And then we'll go in with some purple, no, blue. And we'll do kind of like a rainbow. So again, you can see the difference of the color that we're getting depending on what color we're putting behind it. Like, it is so much more vibrant over white than it is over a light pink. And obviously, if you're trying to do anything over black, it's not gonna, you're hardly gonna see it. So I'm gonna show you guys in a little bit how we would do a nice vibrant design over black. But let's finish this one up. We're gonna just dust this. And one thing that I do a lot that is super, super easy that my clients seem to love is I will go in and kind of just pigment the whole nail. Put pigments everywhere, no rhyme or reason to it. And then I'm gonna go in with my top coat. Let's move this over here. So I've got just a little dollop of top coat here. And then we're gonna use like a daughter tool. And this is gonna kind of work the same way it did with our chrome powder. My clients call this the rainbow drops. No rhyme or reason to what I'm doing, just irregular circles. Once you're happy with that, we're going to cure it. So now when this comes out of the light, again, just like it did with our chrome powder, we're wiping the background. All that pigment powder is coming off except for what's cured up underneath that top coat. So quick, easy design with your pigment powders. And I just want to check, I know there was one other, oh, I know what I wanted to show you guys. So again, with it being very important about the base that your pigments are going over, we're looking for a tacky base. And if your gel polish doesn't give you one, then we need to create one. Like most base gels will give you a nice tacky layer. So if you find that whatever polish you're using, or just like I did and I over cured and I took away a lot of that tacky that I needed, you could always put a clear base gel on. That will give you a nice tacky layer as well. It's a nice little cheat for pigments.